Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce Ng. Joyce, we're back doing this again after the Emmys now.
Not live.
Not live. Holy shit. I mean, 2 nights in a row, the same show's winning. I don't even know what to say. It's all the same.
It's all the same, and it sucks because it didn't have to be this way. Like the Emmys could have been first and cool had it just aired at some point in 2023.
2023 Emmys have just ended here in 2024. Martin Luther King Day has come and gone. And 3 shows basically won every Emmy on the primetime ceremony. Succession won, I think, 6 awards. And after not winning a single award at the Creative Arts Emmys, it won 6, including Best Series, Drama, Best Actor for Kieran Culkin, Best Actress for Sarah Snook, Best Supporting Actor for Matthew Macfadyen, Best Writing, and Best Directing, which we'll talk about as overcoming a triple vote split, which I don't think we expected, but was happy to see because I love Entourage co-executive producer Mark Mylod as an Emmy winner now.
That's only because you're in the middle of an Entourage rewatch right now.
On the comedy side, The Bear won
6
6 awards, 10 overall, the most ever for a comedy series.
in 1 year. It
One
beat
year.
Schitt's Creek's record because Schitt's Creek won 9.
6 Emmys, including Best Comedy, 3 acting wins on the ceremony, and writing and directing. Chris Storer was not there because he has COVID, so he missed the ceremony. Bummer. And then Beef won 5, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Writing and directing, series, 2 acting wins. Ali Wong and Stephen Yeun. And that was it, basically. Good night, the lights. Individual winners elsewhere.
Jennifer Coolidge won drama
Jennifer Coolidge
supporting
won the only
actress.
White Lotus win on the primetime ceremony.
Yeah. I imagine J. Smith Cameron was second.
In terms of shows, The Bear 10, Beef 8, Last of Us 8. Did not win a single award on the primetime ceremony. Won 8 at the Creative Arts. This year's Mandalorian.
And you know what? I did not predict it to win any at the primetime ceremony.
I had it winning directing. You had White Lotus winning directing. We were both wrong. I got it absolutely annihilated in my picks, like a rookie. I should have just
you
done
went for
chalk.
a total Beef sweep.
I went. This year's Emmys to me was like the laziest I've ever seen in terms of they just went with like all these people that won just were obvious to win, and I was like, I could have just picked chalk, and you would have gotten everyone but one right, which was Trevor Noah over Stephen Colbert,
and that was only hard to predict because John Oliver had to switch categories because they changed the rules, so he moved to scripted. They've been renamed, so he moved to scripted writing, won that instead, beat SNL. So then it was a vacuum and talk. So, like, I mean, he's been winning for so long that no one knows who was second. Maybe it's been Trevor Noah this entire time.
The whole time. Could have been.
Yeah.
Maybe it was. I could have just went chalk and gotten all these right. Instead, I was like, well, they love beef, which they did. Won 5 Emmys, but not for
not supporting. Like you were in the tank for Young Mazzino and Maria Bello.
I understand how Niecy Nash Betts won very easily. I still don't understand how Paul Walter Hauser won for a show that I don't think they really watched or liked. And
we've talked about this.
It doesn't matter.
And also during last year or two when it happened, but like he just had the baitiest performance. Yes. And again, I never predicted Blackbird to get nominated for series, but I always had him winning because he won the Globe, and people seem to like the performance. He got into SAG in their one category with Taron, so he has actor support.
Right.
And it's just like Ben Whishaw in 2019 when he won for A Very English Scandal. It's the exact same thing.
Yep.
And that show wasn't nominated for series. It was just like they're just gonna, that's like, they respect and like this performance enough and they're gonna vote for it. So
it just felt very chalk, obviously. It pains me to say this because if you're watching this or listening to this, man, you know what show we love? Succession. Best show I think ever, maybe. My favorite show of all time. Love seeing it win. And I was still bored to silly by this. The Bear is a great show. Love it so much. Again, bored to death watching some of these.
I love all the series winners.
Yeah.
But the show itself was just boring. Like, it's like this cognitive dissonance of loving the winners, but being epically bored by
and
the show
and like you
because
said,
this is the third time we're watching these
that's it.
shows win in 8 days.
That's it. I mean,
It's the
literally
same
last
people.
night we watched these people give these same speeches in some cases at the Critics' Choice
Not
Awards.
not Kieran though. He's always brand new every time.
Aaron was great. I would say I thought his was a really wonderful speech. And like I think this was the best of the three he gave over this 8-day period.
It was the most emotional, and then he at right at the end, just when you thought,
Does a joke.
yes,
I think he actually got emotional, obviously, because I think the great moment of the whole night was Brian Cox like pushing his way through the seats because they had Brian like a little further
he's
back.
he's the number one boy.
And he was the number one boy. He
Number
came
one boy.
out there specifically to give him like a hug
Yeah.
and kiss him on the mouth. And just what a wonderful moment.
Hmm.
And I think it really touched Kieran.
Hmm.
Uh, that was a great winners. The show though, yeah, I thought it was like from the first minute, I was like, this just feels off. Anthony Anderson sitting there at the piano playing theme songs. I was like, what the hell am I watching here? I didn't get it.
That's all fine because sometimes it could like take a minute or two for you to, figure out what the host is doing. So I thought like the opening, the monologue, whatever was fine. Like not great. Better than Joe Coy.
Well, when the bar's on the ground, it's automatically going to be better.
Yeah. But then just like after the first two winners, I'm like, oh, we're going chalk here.
So I thought the same thing. So the first winner was Io Adebri. Christina Applegate comes out. A great moment. I
Great
thought
moment.
another
Yeah.
great moment.
Standing up.
And reminded me in at least concept of what they did at the Oscars with Chadwick Boseman. Remember when it was like, oh, they still did it last, but then they do. I believe they brought him. Didn't they bring out his widow at some point in the show, or was that another ceremony to
No,
make
not
sure that
at the
they got a moment?
Oscars.
It wasn't the Oscars.
No.
Okay. It reminded me of that whole time because like I remember one of the shows, it was like they had her come out and then it was like she didn't it was if he didn't win, it would have been like you still get the moment for him basically.
I mean, listen, I have not rewatched that ceremony because why would you? But I don't think they
Never
brought her
again.
out. I mean, she was
So
there.
it might have just been another show then. But I'm just saying it reminded me of that at least in concept because it was like Christina Applegate probably not going to win her Emmy here, but we want to get her up there obviously and like
Well,
give her a
she's also
tribute.
talked about how Dead to Me was going to be her last live
Yes.
action acting
Yes.
job, right? So
So
this is like her last hurrah. She's done a
yes.
lot of interviews about this. So I could just imagine her being like, I want to present,
Yes.
you know?
I love that. That was a
Yeah,
great
it was great.
moment. It was really
Mhm.
emotional. She was like super thrilled to be there. I thought she was a great, wonderful moment. Io wins. Great. Io wins already. I'm like, okay, over one. Because I had Cheryl Lee Ralph. I'm like, it's gonna be a
I
long night.
had I had Io and then I swapped her. But yeah, so she won. I was like, okay, so I think like Beef is gonna have a good night. And then the next category, which was wide open, was comedy actress, and then Quinta Brunson wins. I'm like, okay, so they're just going chalk. It's just like whoever's number one in the odds.
When she won, I was like, they literally, I would not put it past a lot of voters just going to punching in goldderby.com into their browser and then just like voting based on who was in first place. No offense to Quinta Brunson, who I really like, but like we said, not the type of performance that necessarily would win, not a show that they are incredibly passionate about, but they obviously were passionate enough. And I think she has like a lot of support in the industry, and
I
that
think
makes
it's
sense.
also like that of I mean of that the nominees in the category, other ones is Christina Applegate, Rachel Brosnahan, who's won before for the first season of Maisel, Natasha Lyonne, series not nominated. It just had one other nomination in guest actress, which had won for Judith Light, and Jenna Ortega for Wednesday, which we've always never seen as like a hugely competitive above the line show. Like it's techie,
No.
won a bunch of tech, awards at Creative Arts. So I think like, Abbott, even though it did not improve nomination wise this year, it's still the show that they still like the most.
Right. And in the category, it was clearly the show they liked the most.
Yeah, and then like I think they were just like, yeah, like here you go. So
And then once those two won, it just really chalk. I mean, like literally, like we could go through
it,
the categories, I guess. We could just do. We're on comedy. I mean, let's see. Evan Moss-Bachrach wins supporting actor.
that was
Great.
when I was like, Beef is winning everything.
Yes.
Mhm.
That was the moment.
I love that one though, because now the prophecy has been fulfilled, as I've been saying since
You
June.
called it. You called it right away.
Sports is the new rainbow.
Yes.
So yeah.
And then Jeremy Allen White wins Best Actor. No one was surprised about that one. Chris Storer wins directing and writing for The Bear. Great. and then series for the Bear.
Yeah. So just a full sweep for the Bear. So once like Eben won, so I'm glad I switched him because I was like, I need to see this through, even if he loses. So once he
Yes.
won, I was like, the Bear is gonna win series. And then, like my comedy rule, like kind of how lazy they are. So I was like, it's gonna win directing, and once it wins directing, it's gonna lock in series because the
Yep.
directors are series sheep, and they
Yep.
usually just vote for the series winner.
And
So for
so
review, yeah,
that's it. This is
yeah,
Good Night Lights. And now it'll win again all these it could win honestly every category again, even with Io in lead. It could win every one of these categories again in
in
6 months.
September.
Yeah, 9 months.
So Io will be in lead for season 2, and she'll be up against Quinta,
Yes.
will be
Reigning
back,
champ Quinta.
and Jean Smart, who will be back with Hacks season
Yes.
3. So,
And whoever else comes up. We don't even know. Whatever
and then
shows
and
await.
then Bear can replace her in supporting actress with
With
Liza,
Liza,
Abby.
Abby.
So,
And
yeah.
I think they could easily win unless Meryl wins. But I don't know if there's going to be a lot of passion for Meryl.
I mean, honestly, I love Only Murders in the Building, but its presence was very muted on the show. It didn't
Yes.
have a ton of nominations,
No. The only
but
time they showed Steve Martin was towards the end when I think one other time maybe, but the one I'm thinking of is at the end when they were doing that just deadly Lucille Ball bit with two actresses I absolutely love, Natasha
interminable.
Lyonne and Tracy Ellis Ross. God bless them for trying to save that. And they cut to Steve Martin. He's just like,
They also cut the Henry Winkler, and he was just like dead-eyed.
not what you want.
No audience reactions, please.
No.
So,
The show is running short because Chris Dora wasn't there to give his speeches. So I assume they had a little extra time banked. But
well, yeah, Anthony Anderson had to vamp and recap Kieran Culkin's win
yes,
with like 23 minutes left.
yes. I enjoyed Anthony Anderson as host. I thought he was solid. And like I said, the show I thought was not great just because not having it's anticlimactic. It felt very repetitive. All the winners felt like really rushed. And I was trying to figure out are they rushing through these speeches because they've given these speeches twice in the last week and they're just like understanding how
Yes.
silly it is? Or are they nervous that Anthony Anderson's mom is going to shout at them from the crowd, which she did during Jennifer Coolidge's speech, which did not play well, I would say.
No, that was a poor bit, and I feel like they 86'd it after
Oh yeah.
Jennifer Coolidge.
They only brought it back when John Oliver like asked for it.
Yes, which is fine because he asked for it.
Funny bit. That was
So
funny. That was the
yeah,
funniest thing John Oliver's done in a long time.
and I feel like because a lot of the winners have been the same since the Globes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean I asked this last week, like how many people after the Globes, like how many people do you think burned their Emmys? There would have been Emmy speeches at the Globes. They had to think of new material for Critics' Choice and the Emmys.
Based on how it went, I think Sarah maybe did shoot her shot at the Globes because I thought her speeches were not as sharp going forward.
But she's like, I mean, she's no Kieran, but I like her speech was really nice, and she, shouted at her infant daughter.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Love that.
Her critic's speech yesterday was funny.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think this was like the weakest one of the three.
I think like she I think she was overwhelmed, and then but like it was fine, and like I don't expect her to have like Kieran-esque speeches.
No,
So
who could? Who
no
could?
one could really. So and
Uh,
then like yeah, in drama, like we do drama, like Matthew's speech was great.
Love Matthew's speech. So drama comes out. Drama I did a lot better in because I just went basically all Succession except for directing, which I went with Last of Us because I thought I was series runner up, and they still went Succession. Mylod wins for Connor's wedding. But all the people you expect to win it. The only a non-Succession actor to win was Jennifer Coolidge, like we're saying for White Lotus. Uh, and it wins everything else: actor, actress, drama series, writing, and directing. Mylod brings up the other two nominees in the
Which was
category.
great. I love that.
Love seeing my pal. I interviewed two of the three of them, Joyce, not Mylod.
So you didn't jinx him at all.
I didn't jinx him. He might have, maybe he saw my letterbox review of the menu, which was not a fave. But Lorraine Scafaria,
Like not
loved
talking to that
her,
guy.
loved her, and Andre
Andre Perec.
Perec, yeah, loved him too.
Yeah, once I was so thrilled that it won directing, because I had Connor's Wedding for so long,
Mhm.
going against my instinct of the triple vote split, but I felt like it could actually do it, unlike last year when it also had three nominees because everyone was so focused on that episode, Connor's
Mhm.
Wedding, and then I changed to White Lotus. But I don't care. I'm happy that he won. Like, I'd rather be wrong and have my fave win,
Yeah,
you
of
know?
course. It
So
was
I
great
love that
season.
it's the first show to overcome that split. Like, that's how powerful it is.
It makes I would say the one thing I would say about this night in terms of Succession is it makes the creative arts Emmys even more confounding, where it should have easily won other categories there. Like it makes no sense that it didn't win
Well,
for Tell.
we talked about this in our predictions episode, I think. I felt like the max Succession could win at Creative Arts was two, and one of
Yeah.
them was music,
But
right?
it should have
And
won
they
the
fucked
two.
up. They fucked up because that branch sucks.
Yeah.
And yeah, like like the other, like it wasn't gonna win editing again because of it, triple nominees there, and it's not a craft heavy show. And then it's the guest categories, and everyone had Nick Offerman winning one of them, so that wasn't expected anyway. And then Harry Walter lost the other one
Right.
to Storm
Which
Reed.
wasn't a
That
sure
was
thing.
when everyone was like, we gotta switch to Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey.
I definitely did that, and then I
You
was
did
like,
that
"This
for
is."
like 5 days.
I did that, and I was like, "This is really stupid. Why would they lose? Why would these two lose?" I mean, I didn't understand that. I still don't. It was a momentary lapse of judgment, I guess, on my part, because like, why would they lose?
Yeah, like I never made the switch. I mean, I know so many people from the beginning, like since nominations, had Pedro winning because
Yeah,
of the triple
yeah,
nominees for Succession and actor, but I was just like, no, because like season four, it was Kieran's season, and when you know they love a show and pay attention to the show, they award the right person,
mhm.
right? And yes, it was like concerning that Succession won nothing last week, but it's also like I I think it's like it makes sense that maybe they don't care about the guest actors as much as the main cast, you
So
know?
I think I do think that. I also think that when you look at who won, it's like the emotional. I think with guest actors, it's easier to win if you're generating if you're able to generate an
Mhm.
emotion in a
Yeah,
short amount of time. That's going to get you a leg up on somebody like Harriet Walter, who is
SpaceX.
not SpaceX, not generating. It's an emotion. I think it's great. I'm happy. I'm pleased
Yeah,
watching it, but I'm not like crying like I am with Storm Reed or like Nick Offerman. So
right.
in hindsight, all of this makes sense. So does the Mylod win. Like all of it makes sense.
Yeah, and I think also like Kieran and Sarah had a lot more emotional performances this season. Like
Yes.
Kieran is like Church and State, you know,
Yes. What was
and
his submission? Do we remember their submissions?
Church
Not
and
that it
State.
matters.
He did Church and State,
He
but
did
we
Church
know
and
they
State,
watched the whole show. His
obviously.
submission was Church and State. Like
Yeah.
that's the most emotional he's
Yeah.
been. And she did Tailgate Party, of course,
Right.
the huge fight. And Tom tells her like you shouldn't be a mom, you know, while she's pregnant.
Mhm.
So I mean, like, you know, we've talked about like how like voters, men don't like unlikable women, quote unquote. And that's always kind of been like Shiv. But I think like this is the season four was the most sympathetic Shiv's been,
Mhm.
you know? So, and like
Yeah.
it's still like the the biggest show, and I think like it makes sense that they, even if they lost these guest categories, like they would still win for their leads,
Right.
you
And
know?
also, it would have been silly to imagine for the final season that it's only going to win Matthew writing and series.
Yeah, that was its floor. That's what it won for season three.
And it's like no way that was all it was going to win. And so like it didn't. And then in
Yeah.
limited series choice, like we said, if you like the show Beef, congratulations because it did really well. Lee Sung Jin has 3 Emmys now, went from 0 to 3.
And you know what? All of his speeches were really great. Like they were all different, but like meaningful and funny and sweet.
I interviewed him,
You know?
Joyce. He seemed like a really good
I know you
guy.
did. Yeah. So
Uh, Glad to see him win. I thought it was interesting from from a production standpoint. Only some Lee, uh, uh, Jesse Armstrong, and I think Quinta Brunson were the only three I noticed who had a little like chyron of who they thanked. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's like optional if you want to
And
do that.
they were the only three to take the option. I was like, actually, it's a pretty good idea. Everyone should do that. Put the
Yeah, they've
names on the
like award
screen.
show at the Oscars did that one year.
Yeah, this was like, I thought that was like interesting. It was interesting to me too who decided to do it. Like Jesse Armstrong did it, and I'm like, he knew he was gonna win, and he knew he was gonna win twice. So like he knew that, and Quinta did it, which I was like, cool. And then yeah, like what's his face
Funny.
did it? Lee Sung Jin did it too. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
so Beef
the
wins,
beef
and
ones were a series, of course, and the leads. I didn't have it for either supporting category, but then it was like the supporting people who won Critics' Choice Awards literally a year ago today won.
right,
So
very timely. I was reading a thing of Niecy Nash, and interestingly, those are at least the most notable outside of Kieran. I'd say these two winners were the most notable speeches of the night in terms of like difference because we didn't just see them do these speeches the day before at the Critics' Choice Awards.
we saw them
Niecy,
do it a year ago,
which is a
literally a
long
year
time
ago.
ago. I don't really remember. Niecy Nash did a great speech, very emotional, talking about betting on herself basically,
Mhm.
and then Paul Walter Hauser ate some mangoes and did a rap. And I read on our sister site Deadline, the mangoes are an inside joke, Joyce, with his
Mhm.
agent.
Yeah.
And the rap is because he said I had already won at a Globes and Critics' Choice Awards, so I gave like the real serious speeches, and this was just fun, and so I wanted to do a rap. And apparently, he's a rapper in real life.
Mhm.
You could listen to him on Spotify.
Yes, I've seen that.
I haven't.
So, I mean, check it out if you want to. I don't know.
Not going to be on my Wrapped, I'm going to
It won't
guess.
it won't be on your Spotify
I
Wrapped later
doubt
this
it.
year? No.
But yeah, that was great. So he won, and Niecy Nash won, and like you said, Steven and Allie win for Beef. Uh, and then that's it. Those were the winners. John Oliver won his customary awards in a new category, but still won.
Yeah. And then also writing, they got WGA got the category back on the main show. He won that again,
And that
Love
was one
love
of
to
the.
get the category back just to see the same winners.
I apologize. I don't remember. I don't know who the writer who gave the speech for Oliver's was. But
Oh, I don't remember either.
she was one of the only people to reference the strikes and also like call out the solidarity of like the unions and also John Oliver like helping during the strike. And I was like, well, of course that's great that I'm glad they got it on the show, and then they actually used it to, speechify about their platform.
So in one of the chyrons for last week tonight, they misspelled John Oliver. They've got the H in his name, which was
Jon,
funny
I
to
immediately
me
saw that.
because did you listen to Strike Force 5,
No,
the pod that he did with um some other late night folks? Because in one of the first episodes, Stephen Colbert thought that he spelled it without an H too.
that's great. Maybe it
I
was
know.
an inside joke.
He thought like because well he was on the pod they were talking about like how when they were all on the Daily Show they like they had like abbreviations for their names because Jon Stewart spells it without the H, and then Colbert was like, and you Oliver also do it too, and he's like, no, I have the H.
It's awesome.
So yeah.
Maybe it was a joke then, Joyce. They're funny people.
I mean, I just love, when you've been friends with someone for so long, you don't know how to spell their name.
I have friends like that where you're like, I don't actually know what you do for a living, and then you just can't ask, and so you
It's
just
like
like,
Chandler's job. What is Chandler Bing's job? That
I
was that was my moment where I actually got emotional.
wow, you got emotional with Charlie Puth doing a stripped down
When
version of
they
"I'll Be
started
There for You."
playing, it was when obviously when they moved into I'll Be There for You. Because I knew Matthew was gonna be last, Matthew
Yeah.
Perry. So it got me. And then
Oh,
also like when I found out that like Charlie was doing it in memoriam, I was like, they totally asked him because he played I'll Be There for You the day after Matthew died
yes,
at his concert,
yes.
and then he did it went into See You Again, which is what he performed here. So and then like knowing they were doing the All in the Family reunion beforehand, so I was like, they're gonna start with Norman Lear. We discussed this last
We
week, right?
did.
Like who they're gonna start with. So I was like, they're gonna start with Norman and they're totally gonna end with Matthew.
Yeah, and that's what they did. I thought that was really well done. I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of like based on just a quick cursory scan of Twitter, I would say I'm on the lower end of the public opinion seems very high on this show because it was respectful of TV history in
Mhm.
a way that people really like.
Yeah, which
And
was great.
while like the pacing I thought was a little slow and off and also rushed at the same time and like all the winners were boring and they should have happened 3 months ago, people really responded to remembering these great moments in TV history.
Yeah, like I I think that's something the show did really well. Again, I think if the show had happened in September exactly as it is, it would have gone over great because the winners would have felt fresh. Like the fact that, we had something take down Ted Lasso,
I think
right?
that would have been a huge
It was a
headline.
huge thing because like, like it, like for season one of The Bear, it was like mostly Jeremy winning.
Right.
Right, and it won guilds, but, like, people don't know what those are, like, the general public don't know what those are, they watch the Globes, right? And, and Abbott Elementary won the Globe last year, So and it was like the Bear hadn't won series yet, so it would've been, like, a big deal had the Bear won series in September, and then, like, Succession was expected to win, of course, but it was still felt fresher because it had just been 4 months after the series finale, so it was like them starting their farewell tour, not coming off of the Globes and Critics' Choice, and it would have been, Beef's first win too in September. So like this is why the Emmys should never move to the middle of awards. It should always stay in September. Like that is their lane. Just like I know this obviously happened because of the strikes, but they should
Now,
have not moved to do January because of that.
I'm sure, based on just recent history, this will be the lowest rated Emmys in the history of the Emmys, television wise. That said, I still think it'll be more widely watched than like the Critics' Choice Awards by a great deal. So I think if you're an Emmys
I mean,
producer
it
who,
was on Fox.
yeah, but if you're an Emmys producer who's watching this and like, fuck you guys, the answer is like, I mean, kind of, because like it doesn't, those show, like, not a lot of people watch the Critics' Choice Awards. So like, this will feel a little fresher to those people than it did to us who sat through the Critics' Choice Awards after the Golden
I mean,
Globes,
I
which
did and you did.
I did. So for me, I was like, oh my God, again with the same people. And I
And
love
again,
these
I
shows.
love all these people in
They're
these shows.
great people. My favorite people. I cannot believe how happy I am that Kieran Culkin won an Emmy. It's so great. We've come so far. It felt like he could have won. And then I was like, maybe he won't win. And then he actually won.
I
Just
did, the
wonderful.
point where I was confident he would win when Jeremy Strong got snubbed at SAG.
That was really
That was when I was like, he's winning, Kieran's winning, definitely not changing it.
uh
Like everyone knows season 4 was Kieran's season.
it was.
Yeah.
He was just wonderful in it.
Mhm.
Anything else? Elton John is an EGOT now, Joyce.
Yeah, number 19, he wasn't there.
He had a NEOP.
Yeah.
That's what they
Congratulations to him. Yeah, I
RuPaul
don't know
wins
what else
again.
happened. What?
RuPaul's Drag Race wins.
Yeah, it reclaimed the category. It lost last year to Lizzo. That was a great surprise last year, remember?
Yeah, did anything? Nothing bad happen after that though, right? With Lizzo,
Oh,
everything was
definitely
good.
not.
Okay,
Everything's
that
copacetic.
makes me good. That makes me feel good.
Yeah. Um, I don't know what else was
I mean,
there.
nothing else
All
really.
the reunions, like
So a lot of reunions. We mentioned Grey's Anatomy was I thought was a great one on our live show. I thought that was really fun. Love
but
seeing
again, no
Justin
deer.
Chambers there.
No
No
deer.
deer.
Yeah.
No Sandra Oh.
No, because she was like, I'm not coming out there unless you give me an Emmy.
Joyce, I got yelled at by our old. We'll do emails and stuff later, but our old pal David L. respectfully yelling at me, because I didn't know. When we did this last night at 2 a.m, we were talking about how when Quiz Lady won at the Critics' Choice Awards, they said Emmy winners Aquafina and Sandra Oh, and I goofed on that, but they're producers of the movie, Joyce,
Okay.
so
So
they would have won.
wait, so what so they would have won an award. Yeah, so that's
Which I
fine.
was like, how did they give an award? Like, why would they? They're not really winners, right? They're just in the movie, but they were producers. I didn't realize.
Yeah. So like if they're producers, they would win. So but I think what we were talking about, like collectively, people use we, like we won,
Yeah,
even if you're not personally getting the award. Like a cast member saying like our show won,
yeah.
you know.
Anyway, Sandra Oh wasn't there for Grace. Uh, Good to see though. I like. I was also like, I like Paul Walter Hauser. You know what rubbed me the wrong way when he got up there and he's like, "My wife likes your show." I'm like, "You watch it too, dude. You could just like it. It's a good show." Felt a little diminishing.
Are you one of those couples that you and your wife you watch shows together?
Oh yeah.
I know like so many couples like that, and some couples who don't. It's like I have my show, you have your show, but we don't need to watch them together.
We watch everything together because we just have the one TV, really. Not this one too, I guess. So that's not true. That was a lie. We have two TVs, but one's in here. I'm not going to sit in separate rooms and watch TV. But I would say like I watch Grey's. I like it. I don't know if I would say like would I say like, oh, Case likes your show? I'd be like, oh, we like your show. I would just do that, I guess.
But I guess like, is that like you guys just have to watch everything together? Like you can't just have separate shows. Like maybe it's a thing where like she just like that's a show she watches by herself. You know what I
If
mean?
she's watching something that I don't want to watch, I'll just like be on my phone, usually.
Okay, so you're
Like
not watching it then.
no, I'll be sitting in there but not paying attention.
Yeah.
But Entourage we're both in on our rewatch.
Like one of my old coworkers, like he like we would get screeners of something, right? And I would just watch like during work, like in the office, and I would just watch
Sure.
it. And like he won't watch it because he's like, I have to wait to watch with my wife when I get home. And I'm like, just lie to her.
I would just watch it. I always watch things again or whatever. I'm like, also
I
I
know, but
watch
I'm
like
also like, can you just tell her it's for work? Like you need to
yeah,
watch this now? Like,
yeah. Uh
Anyway, sidebar.
Good sidebar. Other reunions. Cheers. They brought the Cheers cast together.
Yeah.
Fine.
And American Horror Story, Dylan McDermott in a cemetery, just wild.
The nostalgia for American Horror Story is high, I guess.
It's just like I'm just wondering like who said no for them to have landed on these shows.
Somebody was saying they're all shows that are available on Hulu, which Disney and Fox owns,
Yes.
obviously.
Mhm.
So that maybe is how they did it. Let's go down the algorithm and see who's popular. Grey's Anatomy, sure. Cheers, yep. Always Sunny, absolutely.
Always Sunny, an Always Sunny
A
reunion.
reunion of
Of course.
them,
Yeah.
sure. Martin, yep. Arsenio Hall. That one I thought was fun because I was like, who's watching old Arsenio Hall episodes?
Mm. So maybe people will now. So
Maybe. I'm trying to think who else was really notable. Oh, Ally McBeal, people really liked, I
that was
think.
great. I like that a lot, but no RDJ.
No.
I was like, where is he?
Uh they had time in the show to give an award to Glad and Hannah
That was
Waddingham.
the Governor's Award. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And Hannah Waddingham and Coleman Domingo moonlighting off the Oscar tour to say I'm Bayard. I played
That
Bayard
campaign
Rustin.
is red hot.
Got it right on. Bayard Rustin, let's go. Voting's happening right now. Vote for Coleman.
Got it in there. Watch on Netflix right now. Got one more day left to vote.
And Jodie Foster giving an award out at the end.
Well, True Detective.
I know, but it was like Naiad, remembering him in Naiad, but she didn't mention it. Like Coleman just fully was like,
No, because she's also there for True Detectives.
yeah,
Have you
I'm
watched
playing
True Detective
Bayard
yet?
Rustin. Let's go. I'm still in on Coleman. I might switch to him. I think I have Andrew Scott in the last spot, but I might go to Coleman and just do 5 for 5
Because
SAG.
he presented at the Emmys.
I just think people love him. They just love him. I don't know if that's enough to get you nominated at this point, but it might be. But yeah, he
He's
was
definitely,
there.
I think he smells blood because he got in at SAG over Leo.
Yeah, and he's just so engaging.
So you're willing to lock in Coleman, but not Jodie.
Jodie didn't mention her project.
It doesn't matter.
I know.
But she's also having her for True Detective. So
I might put Jodie in. Who else is there? I'm looking. Oh, Community. I thought that was a good one. Joel McHale and Ken Jeong.
And then Donald Glover.
He was in the crowd. He seemed to enjoy it. John Hamm by himself for Mad Men.
Great.
Just never misses.
Mm-hmm.
They reunited two long lost co-stars, Brett Goldstein and Juno Temple from Ted Lasso.
Probably the most time they've spent together since season 2, because they had like 2.5 scenes in season 3.
Also, Juno is a very busy actor, and I gotta say,
this is like she went to Critics' Choice, right? Yeah, she didn't go to the Globes.
She didn't go to the Globes, and I hadn't seen her really doing anything, but she went to these two, which I was like, good for her. 2.5 Men.
So made me nervous. Those were very high.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
2.5 Men reunion.
I never watched that.
No. The Sopranos, Lorraine Bracco and Michael Imperioli.
Very apt for them to present drama supporting actress. So long-term parking forever.
I guess I was buttoned up against the set. I just found the set so corny, but I mean, people
For The Sopranos?
No, just all of the recreating of the famous sets. I didn't think worked as well as it could have at the Emmys, but people liked it. So what do I know?
They were fine. I think it's the nostalgia that people. I don't know if they like the sets specifically, but it's just like seeing these people
right
together again. You know what? One point I got really amped when Tom Hiddleston and Ki Kwan came out and they started playing Natalie Holt's amazing Loki score.
I love that. I made a note of that too, and I think it was right after a Succession moment. I feel like so we had the Succession
Yes,
score.
that was this is like right up my alley. It was right after Jesse won for writing.
That was it. So
That
we had
was
the
perfect.
Succession score blaring if
Yes.
they fucked up and didn't give it an Emmy, and then
Right into Loki.
Natalie Holt, who should win an Emmy.
So don't fuck this up now, music branch. Give it to Natalie Holt.
She absolutely should win an Emmy. It's the best. And Key and Tom just having fun. Love
Right.
seeing them.
Mhm.
Uh, and then Peter Dinklage gave out the final award of the night, which was drama series for Succession.
Yeah, another one for HBO.
Yeah.
So yeah, HBO to HBO.
They even had the Iron Throne out there, Joyce.
They had that's probably the same one they had when Andy Samberg hosted in like 2015, I want to say. I don't know.
I feel like
Whenever
they
he
just have
hosted.
like an Iron Throne they take on the road.
I don't know. They remember House of the Dragon?
Nah, never seen it.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was there. Also, when they read Yellow Jackets as like the last, I was like, oh yeah, Yellow Jackets.
it just felt so. Again, I'm so thrilled with these winners. Like, they're my favorite shows by far. Succession, I think, is one of my favorite shows ever in the history of watching TV. So the fact that it won and all the people I love on the show won is just a wonderful thing. But I just was like, it all felt so stale because they should have happened in, if not September, which they couldn't do, November or December, and not now.
Well, also, Ed, as you had long been advocating for, like they should have just done like a TV celebration, right?
Yes.
Like this whole ceremony could have been an email.
Well, I think you could. I think yes, because like the other thing is, like we said, a lot of the speeches felt. I think even the winners felt like not awkward, but like just not. I don't know. Obviously, winning is so great, and they all seemed so genuinely happy. But like there was a huge difference between the people like Niecy Nash Betts and Paul Walter Hauser, and even like Trevor Noah and John Oliver, who hadn't won and given speeches multiple times in the last week, compared to like Io and Jeremy Allen White and Kieran, even though his speech was great, and Sarah and Matthew and Jesse, even like all these people just had won so much. I think like they could have just, if it was a TV celebration, which they actually ended up doing, they did split the thread that needle. I think they could have made it even better. And I don't know, maybe like
Like they could have celebrated the year in TV, like all these shows. Like we had so many shows end.
right.
Like that was the whole thing. Like we didn't have a lot of clips of the nominees
There
because
were really no clips, right? I
no
didn't really
clips of
see a
that. I
lot.
think they started playing clips for like limited series because I remember they played like a beef clip.
And obviously, it can't happen every year, and you don't know the winners in advance. And I understand all that. But when you know, like, there was a good, strong chance that these three shows were going to dominate. And you could have ended up just doing, if you were doing this like a produced celebration of TV, it could be like, and now we're going to spend 7 minutes talking about how great the final season of Succession was, and here's who won, and like we'll do one speech for all of them, right? And then like the Bear, same thing, and then Beef, the same thing. Let like the showrunners do a speech or the actor or whoever, and then just like move on and do another reunion, and like 2 hours and you're out. In memoriam.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't need like actual ceremonies. Like I was totally fine with the Golden Globes press conference in 2008.
Yeah.
Just give me the names. So, but I understand why they wanted because it is the 75th year.
And it was
You know?
important, I think, it's funny. I think it's important to TV to have it because, like, they did
Yes,
get to
yes.
celebrate all these shows. Major people passed away, sadly, like
We
Norman
lost so many
Lear,
people last year.
like so many major names in TV. Like Norman Lear, one of the most influential, like, greatest TV people in the history of the medium. Like, you got to have something for him. Matthew Perry, obviously, super beloved. So like they needed to have something, and I think all that stuff worked. But like, yeah, just I was like, it just
It
was
all just kind of
rushed.
felt like an afterthought because of everything
Yeah.
we've already said. And
Yes.
it's unfortunate because TV is already not as respected as film is. And I hate that because I will always advocate for
Yeah,
TV.
you're definitely a more TV.
I'm always team TV.
Yeah,
I don't need anyone to say TV is better than film. I just want it to be respected.
right.
But it's like and like film people always treat TV as an afterthought, and
Yeah,
it's just so rude because
yeah.
there's a lot of TV that's better than film. And like Succession is better than so many movies I watched last year.
So I was talking
So
about this with my friends over the weekend, and definitely agree. Like, I mean, we were saying, like, is there, like, we're trying to name, like, thinking of like in letterbox term, like a 5-star movie.
are you gonna start logging your TV shows on Letterbox this
I don't,
year?
no, I don't think that feels right. But I would say, like, we were just saying, like, there's not a lot of like in the last few years, like, what would be like a perfect movie. And like I could name like 4 or 5 movies over the last like decade that I would say like really hit the neat, like really hit the nail on the head. But like nothing as good as Succession. You know what I mean? Like that is far and away better than any of the best. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'd put like as a like Uncut Gems, Top Gun Maverick, great movies, some of the greatest I've ever seen. But Succession is still better than all of those movies.
I have rewatched Succession more in like the last 4 years than I've rewatched like most movies that have come out in the last 4 years. So
It's just so much better. So I understand what you're saying. I will say in the pre-show I saw on the red carpet Stephen Colbert, and he was like, he was like, I love that it's happening in January because it's like, we're in the middle of like movie award season. It, makes us feel like a little more respected.
no, but like you're not because they don't respect you.
I was
Like
gonna
just like
say
the Critics' Choice Awards, they're still pairing up the TV winners like to give out like a redheaded
they
stepchild,
need
you
to do
know?
like two separate. They need to do two
Well, it
separate
used to be two
ceremonies.
separate
I know, but
ceremonies
they
and
need to
then
do it
yeah.
again. It's just too much. Uh, I guess that's it on the Emmys, Joyce. Anything else we could talk about? So the nice thing is in 9 months when we're doing this again, uh, we'll have a new drama series winner and a new limited series winner, and then the Bear will again dominate.
The
It's
Bear will actually win for season two, like officially win for
Yeah,
season
the
two.
Bear will. I absolutely think it'll win the exact same awards it did, though Io and maybe
It
add
can
Io.
dominate so hard because like everyone who won will be back, and then it'll have Io will move to lead. It'll have new supporting actress nominees in Abby Elliott and Liza Colon-Zayas. It will just completely take over the guest categories like Succession has done, Last of Us has
Last
done,
of Us,
you
yeah,
know, like
it's gonna get. I mean, it'll end up
everyone
with
in Fishes.
how many
Olivia
nominations will it get?
Colman.
How many nominations?
It's gonna
25,
it's gonna veer into Succession territory.
26, maybe. I mean, it's gonna get that many. It could get.
It could get a lot. So yeah, and then there's so this year was kind of barren for limited series, but this upcoming or the current the cycle we're currently in, the real 2024 Emmys, we're gonna have a lot of limited series.
A lot of
So
good
I'm very
HBO
excited for
stuff.
The Regime. You know, my
Yep,
girl Kate Winslet, number 3. Here we go.
yep,
So Andrea Riseborough
yep.
in that. And drama is gonna have a vacuum.
The Crown final season.
The but like uh, well as we've said, the morning show will finally get its series
The morning
nomination.
show could win series.
Well, like it's morning show, The Crown be nominated. I don't think it will win. Like season 6. Your fave SAG nominee Gilded Age, I think can just get in, you
Yes.
know. I would love to see Loki get in. I don't know that,
I don't
like,
think the second season was as good as the first,
but
but
it's like what else is there? Like, so
yeah, we're gonna have a lot of limited series, not a
like,
lot
my fave, we didn't mention this yet. Better Call Saul, gone. Oh for
over.
53.
Not even close.
Again, I've waited since August 15th, 2022 for this to be official.
I
No
guess
Emmy
I'll
ever.
remind me of this when we do our picks in 9 months for this year's Emmys that they're just gonna pick their favorites, and it's just always
They
gonna be
are.
chalk. They're not gonna overthink. Like I definitely overthought all this.
We
I come up
everyone who bombed, I think a lot of people bombed these picks because we all overthought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, I know not to overthink it. Joyce, we got some emails here we could go to if you'd like.
About the Emmys?
Yes.
Great.
Even though the ratings it's the future. It's the Emmy ratings bombing. There's still some emails.
Also on a holiday. So,
Peter Dinklage said happy birthday to Martin Luther King.
and then that final montage over the credits.
They had the I Have a Dream speech.
Yeah.
Which felt more like, how is this on the Emmys? That or the 9/11 shot in the.
That was that montage. Wow. Took me out.
That's what I want to see. I love revisiting 9/11 stuff. So
But
obviously
I don't think that montage would have been
it was just
as
jarring.
as bizarre had they not had those title card insertions every 15 seconds, like moments when we said goodbye or whatever it said.
Really tough beat. Like
No.
I said, I personally thought the show was hit and miss, but other people really liked it. So I'm glad for
I like
them.
again, I think as a production, there were good things about it.
Yeah.
Um, but just the whole vibe because of the circumstances, it just was very flat, even though the very deserving people won. And
Best
I mean,
people.
like I have to say, even though it had the worst host, like the Globes has been the best show thus far. I didn't watch Critics' Choice, but I've seen
The
clips and
Globes, I would say I agree. I thought the Globes was the best as well. I thought even, and I think Joe Coy, who has now gone on the
very
defensive
defensive.
himself, and then he's gotten a lot of support from comics. Even our beloved Seth Meyers was out there being like, he did a great job. And I'm like, I guess you're just everybody's gonna circle the wagons. I still don't think he did a good job, but the show is good. The Globe show is really good.
I mean, I feel bad that he bombed, but
I
it was
think I
what it was.
personally
But
lost him. He lost me when he blamed his writers. I
yes,
mean, if you're
that
gonna,
that was like 3 minutes in. I was like, no, dude,
yeah, like if you're
just take
gonna
the L. Just take
take
the
the L
L.
yourself, like,
Yeah.
or just be like, hey, they all can't be winners. He could have done the same thing and just said, I
Yeah.
had a week to prepare. I'm sorry. You want to, Pedro Pascal, get up here. You do some jokes. That you save it like that. Whatever. I'm not a comic choice or a TV producer, so what the hell do I know? This is an email here we got during the show from Matt, who writes in, "Hi Joyce and Chris, you both had picked against Succession in directing. How did Mark Mylod overcome the three-way vote split to come out on top at the Emmys?"
I think it's just what we talked about earlier. It's just the show, and unlike last year when it again had triple nominees in directing, and I didn't predict it to win last year. It felt like the obvious pick was Connor's wedding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like all the support can funnel to Connor's wedding. Like that was the episode, and they really focus on that with their campaign
Right.
too, and that had like their talking point was like the 30-minute winner, and they shoot on film, so they had to reload the film every 10 minutes and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And then like they didn't even know, like Jeremy didn't know where like Sarah was when he had to look
Right.
for her. So like all this stuff. And that was the episode of the season too. And the thing is like this makes me feel really good about DGA because I already have Connor's wedding winning DGA. It's 4 Succession versus 1 The Last of Us, and I know everyone's picking The Last of Us because when I did my predictions last week, Last of Us was number 1 in the odds. And I think people are looking at it as 1 versus 4 and like a quadruple split. I'm looking at it as 1 show versus 1 show, and everyone's going to vote for Connor's wedding.
I think that obviously now in hindsight, I absolutely agree with all of that because I just think you're right. Like it was easier to vote split in the third season when all the shows are equal, all the episodes are
They
equal.
didn't have an
Basically.
episode like Connor's wedding. Yeah.
And this one, and especially no, like this is actually among Succession heads. I feel like it's divisive. Living Plus was not a beloved episode. It is actually one of my favorite ones from last season. I loved Lorraine Scafaria, and I thought that was a really great one. But people were down on it, I think, and so like that adds to the. It's really not even a three-way vote. Like no one was going to pick that over, America Decides or the Connor's wedding. So that was like kind of like a false idol of a vote split, maybe.
Living Plus does have my favorite Jeremy Strong reading of the season when he's like, "That's not the clouds."
Just a bet.
Like the
That is a
head-on.
great. I think people don't like the episode because it's a pro Kendall episode, and people don't like Kendall, so then you're automatically out. But I
It's
love it
also
because
kind of it's not a bottle episode, obviously. I hate when people misuse that term, but it's in a different setting. It's episodic.
yes,
So it feels like separate from like the larger
yeah,
storyline coming off of Kill List and everything. So I understand, but I mean, all the episodes are great.
it's the best show ever.
Mhm.
This one was from Noah, who writes, "The Bear just dominated this show. Why did it take Emmy voters so long to realize Ted Lasso has not been has always been mid? Excuse me." This is Noah
Those are
Rain.
completely different words.
Yes. Sorry. It's late, Joyce. I'm so tired.
Uh, so I mean, I guess like, I mean, it's not like Ted has been on for a really long time. This is just
No.
its third season. We haven't really even talked about Ted that much tonight. So,
No.
um, didn't win.
Didn't win a single thing tonight.
No, it won 2 at Creative Arts.
Yes.
So reverse of last year when it won none at Creative Arts and then one series. But um I think, there just hadn't been a show that made people excited like The Bear, between Ted premiering and now,
Right.
you know?
I think
So yeah.
I do think that. I actually think if they would have hammered that it's the last season,
Hmm.
that would have really helped in terms of winning.
They're still walking around that.
And they never really did. And I think while people all understand it's probably the last season, right? They've never confirmed it. And they weren't able to run, this is the final season of Ted Lasso. And you love this show, and it got 21 nominations, and like, let's go out on a high note. So that kind of hurts it. And then I do think, in terms of like the acting, like even when I predicted Ted the whole time, went down with the ship, and I put Brett Goldstein in because I just felt like it needed to win one of the actual acting categories, not the guest acting categories. And there was really nowhere it was going to win if it wouldn't win Brett or Phil, because
You also
Hannah,
had Jason Sudeikis for a while there.
I did, but Jeremy was always going to win. And Hannah just felt like a third place, probably behind Cheryl and Io. That's how I ended up doing it. So it really needed Brett to like kind of
Mhm.
just carry through again for a beloved character that the Emmys clearly liked. Because otherwise, how was it actually going to win series with nothing? It would have. I had
Well,
it
it needed
winning.
directing because, like, again, they match
So I had
usually.
it winning directing and series and Brett, and it won none of those.
Yeah. And again, season 3 wasn't its best season. It was its weakest. I think
Right.
everyone would agree about that, no matter what your thoughts are on season 3. Um, definitely mixed.
Yeah.
And uh, so I'm not, and whereas even though The Bear is not competing for season 2, season
It
1 was
is.
obviously well received, but season 2 came on in the summer, or
Right.
was released in the summer, and everyone devoured it. And that was also like the Ted playbook. Like, Ted didn't invent this playbook, but their season 2 dropped in the middle of voting for season 1
Yes.
for the Emmys.
Yes.
So that's why Forks is the new rainbow.
And
Um, I also wonder, like, I feel like the strikes may have impacted things too. Like, people were so busy, being on the picket lines and everything, and like they didn't really have that much time to make like think about voting for silly awards too deeply, or even like watch more things than
well,
maybe
like
they would
they
have in a
definitely didn't
normal
watch
year.
anything, right? Like
I mean,
obviously,
we know what they watch based on the nominations,
three
just like,
shows.
like
Yeah, four
across
shows.
like all genres. So yeah, like, because usually we have like at least like one exciting upset somewhere, or but we didn't get that. And yeah, so I wonder if, like, their focus was on like other things, like during the month of August, like
I,
before the strikes were over and they had to vote.
yeah, I also think what you said is exactly. I just think people really love the Bear, especially season 2. It's the
Mhm.
last thing they watch probably, and like a less successful Ted season than previously. Like they're just gonna go with the new thing, and there's really no reason. They don't have to like. Again, if it's the last season, it's the last season. They're just like done with it. They already gave it a ton of Emmys, so they don't need to really do it. It's not like they owe Ted Lasso any Emmys. Somehow with Succession, they did owe Kieran and Sarah Emmys, so it's like great that they won because they would not have ever won.
Mhm.
With Ted, it was different. All those people really, all the people who probably needed to win have won multiple times
Yeah.
in some cases.
And they finally nominated Phil,
Right. So they did him
Phil
right.
Dunster.
And that's it. Like they're like, we did enough of this. So we're out and we're gonna go to the Bear.
Yeah, like, we love the Bear. Like, we saw this with the guilds last year because it
Mhm.
beat. I remember a lot of people were predicting Abbott Elementary, like WGA and stuff, and it's like, nope, the Bear. You know,
Yep.
it's like the industry was already here for it last year. We saw
Uh
so.
just have one more here. This was from Brienne. Hi, Joyce and Chris. Love the show. I've been so crestfallen that Better Call Saul has been shut out. Do you think Better Call Saul would have won an Emmy under the old voting system?
Yes.
So then now the follow-up would be my follow-up. Do you think they should go back to the old voting system?
They should do a lot of things.
What could they do to
I
fix this?
do love the tape system. It's not perfect, but it did really, really give underdogs a chance. And that's how we got such great winners. Like Bryan Cranston, like no one watched Breaking Bad. I was gonna say Better Call Saul. No one was watching Breaking Bad in 2008, but under the tape system, like he won, and it's and then that's how you get like upsets like Felicity Huffman over Terry Hatcher, who like swept the Winter Awards. It's like you have a good tape, and like they're forced to watch the tapes. Like they still submit tapes now, but they don't have to prove that they watch anything, or they're not forced to watch it, and it's so many episodes. So they're not going to do that. And with everyone, like the whole everyone in every branch, I like Better Call Saul. I think it got fucked because they changed the system in its first year in 2015. And I do think Jonathan Banks would have won under the tape system with 5-0, but they changed, and yeah, he never won. And then Peter Dinklage started his reign of terror. So,
I
well, that
I
was his second win because he won for season 1 in
I
2011.
think they're gonna have to change something. I just think
They
people.
changed that, like they changed voting this year, with the restricted ballot, which didn't help at all.
I think they need to go back because I'll tell you this, like the Emmys, I think there was a Vulture article about this. Like the Emmys themselves are still incredibly important in terms of the industry and like in terms of like awareness, I think for people. But like the fact is, no one is watching the show even compared to like other award shows. I think it's going to be like very low. Obviously, it's not like it was 20 years ago, but it's like even compared to like I think that'll be like the Golden Globes. I think had like 9 or 10 million people, and I feel like this is going to have like 5.
I mean, it already has so many things against them, like on a holiday,
And the
Monday against
NFL.
football, like, so
So I'm just like, I think they're gonna have, and like they're awarding the same show. So if you didn't like let's like there are probably people out there who don't like these are 3 of my favorite shows, certainly in the whole year. Love them. Love them. I'm gonna talk to my mom and dad tomorrow and I'm gonna be like, watch the Emmys, and my mom is gonna be like, hated that show, hated that show. They did like The Bear. So I'm like, okay. They never heard of Beef probably, and I don't know if my dad watched Succession, but I'm like, normal people maybe are not going to be super into these. It's not like Succession was Game of Thrones in
no.
terms of viewers. And so I just think like they're gonna have to like figure out a way to make it so there's a little more intrigue, a little more surprise. You don't have to like dumb it down, but I just feel like having one thing win everything is just not the best for the lifeblood of the show.
No, and well, I don't think like I mean, I don't think you're suggesting this. Like, I don't think the nominees or winners should be rigged by any way, like appealing
No,
to like populist picks. I
no,
think
I
like
don't.
I don't know how to like the problem is like they're not watching enough, and I don't know how to force them to watch
Right.
more.
That's the thing. Did he need to do like a jury?
I like maybe I don't like, and the other problem is like there are so many shows now. I mean, maybe this year will kind of help because of the strike, so like things are delayed and off cycle, so there'll be fewer things. I don't know, but like they don't watch a lot of stuff. That's why even the restricted ballot coming back, like it didn't work. I think I said this like after nominations, like maybe they just need to restrict it even more, like not do it by the number of slots per category. Maybe you can just pick top three, you know?
I
So you
I
really do have to do your passion picks, and you just can't list everyone in the White Lotus.
I really think you need to do that because like I don't know, it just felt like so silly. Even like, yeah, it just was like it would have just been so much better to have more shows involved. Even if the same like the winners are fine. Like, you know what, like
Mhm.
yeah, for the final season of Succession, I would expect it to win every category. It's in there.
Yeah.
But like it doesn't need like all its act
We don't need Succession and the White Lotus taking over
the
supporting
whole
actor.
category.
Like,
Like God love eldest son and God love Greg, but they did not need the nominations, right? Like they do, but they didn't, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like not to pick on them because they're both great, and especially Alan Ruck, I love. I was so glad he got nominated, and Willa should have got. They actually should have gotten more nominations. Succession. They missed Willa. She should have been nominated too. But like I just think they could maybe figure out a way to make this a little more palatable with bigger. Like they're not watching the shows. They're clearly not watching. Like there's too many shows.
There's too many shows, they're not watching them, and then they're just lazy and they're just literally listing every single cast member of these shows. And then these shows have large ensembles, so that's the other thing. Load of Succession, a lot of people on these shows. It's
Yeah.
not like The Last of Us, it's just two main characters,
No.
So
Well,
that
I
show
mean,
didn't take over the main categories, but it took over guest categories because it has a
like
lot of guest stars.
the Bear is gonna win. I mean, like think. Let's just do this.
Oh, The Bear's gonna have so many guest stars.
Or like completely. Like here's nominees for season 2: Jeremy Best Actor, Io Best Actress, Evan Best Supporting Actor, uh, Oliver Platt Best Supporting Actor. Right.
Yeah, he would be. He's in more than 5.
Abby Supporting Actress, uh, and Liza Supporting Actress. Right.
Yeah, and then Lionel, supporting actor too. I mean, he's
Lionel
like
Supporting
invisible.
Actor also. So 3 supporting actors, 2 supporting actress, lead
Probably
actor.
Maddie too, Maddie Matheson. I don't
After his speech, maybe, but I'll put him on. Let's say he doesn't get in, and then for guest actor and actress, you're gonna
Bob
have
Odenkirk, Jamie Lee Curtis, Olivia Colman, Sarah Paulson, John Mulaney. Who else is there? I'm like
uh
forgetting so many people.
let's see, Bernthal.
Oh yeah, Burn, of course, And then
How about
he'll actually his submission, he'll be in more than 3 seconds of his submission this time.
Claire Bear?
Oh God, Claire Bear. Ugh.
Claire could get in too. Molly Gordon, a beloved.
And no offense to Molly Gordon, not a fan of Claire Bear.
Molly Gordon could get in. I'll say this. I think she could get in supporting actress. I guess
Oh, Will Poulter.
Will Poulter for sure. I mean, it's like they're gonna get. That's like I lost count how many that is. So I mean, this is like gonna be like a show that dominates again. Just wild stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, but I I hope they try to change something this year. I don't know.
I just think they have to. I know we don't like to. I don't want it to turn into like a BAFTA thing or just like muck up the work
No,
so
not
much.
not like that. Not like a have jury category, but like the tape system. I like the tape
The
system.
tape system worked. It clearly worked, and it
Yeah.
clearly got
I
more
think the
interesting
only issue
viewers.
is like by doing that, it's because now like the whole academy can vote for obviously all the program categories and you vote for all the categories within your branch. So
Right,
I think it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle saying like you can't vote for all these categories anymore. You have to be part of the panel for, this category
right.
and stuff. But
It it, it just feels like yeah, like going back to the question about Better Call Saul, like absolutely Better Call Saul. Odenkirk would have won at one of these, or it would have
yeah,
just
like
won
writing for
Emmys.
sure before
It,
Succession
it would have
started.
won something. It clearly would have won at least one or two
Like
things.
Game of Thrones has more writing Emmys than Better Call Saul.
Just remarkable. Uh, anything else, Joyce, before we wrap up?
Um, we'll see you again for the real 2024 Emmys later this year. We're more than halfway into the cycle.
Can't wait.
So never do this again, even if there's another strike.
Hire us to
Just
produce these
stay in
shows.
the calendar year, no matter
Yes.
what.
Yeah. And I mean, we'll see how the ratings are. Maybe it'll teach them not to do it. We'll be back Thursday, I guess, Joyce, with
With
our
our
Oscar
Oscar
picks
prediction.
and maybe
What have you changed in the last 24 hours?
nothing in the last 24 hours. Though I might go back to Coleman. I don't want to predict. I don't want to predict the
Because of
five.
the Emmys.
I don't. I don't want to predict the 5 SAG right away for 5. You know what I mean? I don't think it'll go 5 for 5.
Um, for Best Actor.
Yeah, for Best Actor. I don't think Leo's getting in. So I'm down to like, is it Coleman, the SAG pushing him through, or is there actually a lot of
Or like
like,
Andrew Scott.
is there really a lot of international support for Andrew Scott and he gets in? And I really could see it happening because I think he's actually an actor who maybe not as obvious as Coleman has like worked with everyone and actually has a lot of fans in the industry, it
Do
seems.
you think they should have done a Fleabag reunion with Hot Priest?
I mean, Fox Searchlight could have got on that. It is like their own their own network. They really probably should
What
have.
reunions did you want them to have that they did not have?
From a TV perspective,
Well, obviously it's the Emmys.
uh I would have loved to see Amy Poehler and Tina Fey were there. I would have loved to see Amy and Adam Scott. Love them together for
Parks and
Parks
Rec.
and Rec.
You don't want to you don't want an Entourage reunion for the 20th anniversary this year?
I mean, I don't know if that would go well with the online. I just if you want to Google, just Google what's going on with the real life Entourage people. Not all of them have really come through unscathed in the current times. So I'd say no to that. Um, Let me think. I would have
It
liked. I
was
mean, I would have loved more Mad Men people with John Hamm, but like Slattery and him would have been great, or like
It would have been hilarious. That would have been great. Like Lizzie could have been there, but no.
yeah,
I during because you know I'm an ER acolyte.
right. They showed ER the
They
cast.
they yeah. And totally fine that like Grey's is now the longest running medical drama. That's fine.
Mhm.
ER is still the best though.
Yeah,
But uh I feel like that reunion was never gonna happen.
no.
So,
An Office reunion would have been fun. Obviously, I love all
but
those.
a reboot coming soon.
I'm trying to think what else. I'm trying to think what other shows I really love. Hmm.
Um,
Can
I
they
don't
do
know,
a
like
Succession reunion? I went on to see
is it
Jeremy
too
come in.
soon for a Succession reunion?
Can they get Jeremy in there?
Jeremy is too busy being Raccoon, so
Yeah, they at backstage they asked about Jeremy, and Brian Cox was like, "No one can call him." Ha 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 ha. And then they were like, "Actually, just shooting a movie."
I
I
mean
will say
maybe he'll
this:
go to
if
SAG, so it's in a month.
I'm gonna say this, if Jeremy had won, I don't think Brian Cox would have kissed him on the mouth like he did for Kieran.
No, Kieran is the number one boy.
He's the number one boy.
Yeah, they would all been happy for Jeremy.
Who wouldn't? He's a great
So
actor,
yeah.
but I don't think he would have gotten the affection that
Yeah.
Brian
So
showed.
all the Roy kids except eldest son won Emmys,
Mhm.
not Logan.
Not Logan.
Again, the Globes is the only award show that got it right because Brian, Jeremy, and Kieran all won.
I
Yeah.
mean, Brian, the Emmys, for as well as they've treated Succession, they fucked up by not giving Brian for season 3 when he was obviously the best part of season 3, and like clearly should have won lead actor over Lee Jung Jae. And just like no, there's no doubt in my mind he should have won for season 3. It was the best. He was so good in season 3. Every episode he just crushed.
Well, that was why when Jesse announced that season 4 was the last season in February, I was like, fuck. Then like Brian and Kieran like can't win. Like when like
Mhm.
Kieran won lead, because I was like, this is the last chance for Brian to win.
Right.
And then when Kieran won lead, I was like, damn it, like only
Yeah.
one of them can win now. So it sucks. And yeah, because like it didn't get any actor nominations for season 1, so they missed the
No.
boat there. And
If you could
yeah,
have given an act season 1 Emmy, would you have given to Brian, or would you given who won that Emmy that year?
in lead actor or just any actor in the
Well, lead
show.
actor that year. What year was that? 2010? No,
2010? What?
sorry.
Where are you?
What is
It
2019?
was 2019.
2019. Right. Okay.
Um I mean I like I mean I guess like Brian would have been worthy like in season 1. Like Jeremy, I think I would have nominated Jeremy and Brian in season 1.
The
I felt
nominees
like
that year. This is a 2019 ceremony, right?
mhm.
Where Billy Porter won, I think, for Pose.
Yes.
Bateman, Sterling K. Brown, Kit Harington, Bob Odenkirk, and Milo Ventimiglia.
Yes.
So good shows, a lot of good actors there, but Brian Cox and Jeremy Strong should have been in that list.
Yeah. So but like we know what a slow burn it was for Success. Like Succession exploded in season 2.
Right.
So it only got 5 nominations for season 1 and 1 theme, thank God. And writing, which I predicted. I remember it being in like 4th place in the odds, and people were predicting Killing Eve. I was like, that is not winning. I was like, Succession is winning because season 2 was also airing
Mm-hmm.
during that time, and that was when it got really big. So I was like, Jesse Armstrong winning, and he did.
So there's the
But
final
yeah,
season of Thrones. So like you're not gonna dump Kit Harington, maybe, but
that was like, when the just the unlimited ballot, like Game of Thrones getting all these actors in, but still Peter Dinklage, only actor they ever cared about to give the win to. I think that's also, I feel like some people can't compute how, like Last of Us did so well at Creative Arts and got blanked tonight, and the reverse with Succession. I'm like, they're just completely different categories, like literally different categories, and there are different types of shows. And we've seen this before where a show can do really well in Creative Arts because it's just a craft heavy show, and then underperform on the main show, like Game of Thrones. That's happened to Game of Thrones so many times.
Right.
So
this is fun. I'm excited to do the next Emmy cycle in a few months, but we're gonna finish up Oscars first.
yeah. And then like I think drama will be exciting with so many MT.
Tokyo Vice season 2.
I already watched the screeners.
I didn't watch it yet. Good? Can't say.
They didn't send the full season yet, so the
No
last
spoilers.
episode they sent, there's like an event. But they reference my favorite boy band again. There's a big moment.
Oh, nice. Good.
With if you saw season 1, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So
we'll leave you with that. Just to talk to you later this week with our Oscar picks. This is fun.